When we study the traditional model of our solar system, we see a picture of perfect concentric harmony. The planets orbit the sun in neat, orderly rings, moving with predictable clockwork stability. Yet that stability is a modern illusion. If we examine the space between the sun and the outer giants, we find an enormous empty gap where early rocky bodies should be. Our solar system is a cosmic graveyard, missing an entire first generation of inner planets. This animated diagram explains the source of that destruction. When you compare Jupiter against the combined mass of every other planet in our cosmic neighborhood, Jupiter easily outweighs them all. Because of that immense scale, Jupiter does not orbit peacefully. Its immense gravitational pull actively grabs, physically distorts, and violently fractures any celestial body unlucky enough to pass too close. The quiet, predictable cosmic neighborhood we observe today is actually the settled aftermath of an ancient gravitational massacre. To see how that massacre unfolded, we have to look back 4.6 billion years. The early solar system was entirely chaotic, consisting of a young, hot sun surrounded by a turbulent protoplanetary disk of swirling gas and dust. This map of the early solar system highlights a distinct boundary known as the frost line. Jupiter was the very first planet to take shape, forming deep in the cold outer region beyond this threshold. Forming out in the deep freeze gave Jupiter a unique structural advantage. While inner planets had to rely on scarce rock and metal, Jupiter vacuumed up the vast, abundant reserves of condensable ice and raw gas available past the frost line. This access to limitless material triggered a runaway growth process. Over a period of just 3 to 5 million years, its rate of mass accumulation accelerated exponentially. By consuming the surrounding disk so rapidly, Jupiter grew into an absolute giant, essentially overnight on a cosmic timescale. That sudden, extreme concentration of matter transformed Jupiter from a standard developing planet into an unmatched gravitational tyrant, armed with enough force to wreck the rest of the developing system. According to a hypothesis known as the Grand Tack, Jupiter did not stay in its distant birth orbit. Instead, it began to move. This orbital map tracks the Grand Tack trajectory. Driven by drag from the surrounding gas disk, Jupiter spiraled inward, plunging dangerously close to the Sun. The migration pulled the gas giant deep into the rocky zone, pushing inward until it reached the precise boundary that marks the modern orbit of Mars. As Jupiter advanced, its massive gravity acted as a wrecking ball against the actively forming inner protoplanets, thoroughly tearing apart their young orbits. Any protoplanet caught in Jupiter's path faced a brutal outcome. They were violently scattered, flung directly into the Sun, or completely ejected into the freezing void of deep space. The destruction only halted because of Saturn. As the ringed planet formed, its own gravitational pull caught Jupiter, acting as an anchor that stopped the inward march and dragged the giant back out toward the outer solar system. By the time Jupiter retreated, the Grand Tack had completely erased the first draft of our solar system, leaving behind a shattered slate of raw, scattered debris. We can still see the immediate physical aftermath of this event today. This dense field of jagged rocks suspended between Mars and Jupiter is the asteroid belt. Scientists once debated where these millions of fragments came from. Today, we understand the asteroid belt is the scattered remnant of a planet that was never allowed to be born. This mechanics visualization demonstrates exactly how that failure occurred. Every time the rocky material attempted to clump together to form a planet, the rhythmic gravitational waves from Jupiter swept through and shattered the pieces apart again. The asteroid belt is a permanent cosmic crime scene. It proves that Jupiter's gravity actively suppressed planetary formation, deciding exactly which worlds survived and which were erased. Meanwhile, closer to the Sun, a thick cloud of scattered dust and pulverized rocky debris was left drifting in the empty space Jupiter had cleared out. Over millions of years, a slow secondary accretion process took over. As this simulation captures, those tiny drifting fragments began gently colliding and fusing together, slowly coalescing into a new set of rocky bodies. Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Earth are entirely second-generation replacements. Our planet is constructed directly from the destroyed, recycled remains of that first lost planetary family. Earth exists exactly where it does because Jupiter's violent migration carved out a narrow, cleared-out corridor of safety, leaving just enough debris behind to build our home. Humanity owes its orderly, life-sustaining reality to a chaotic ancient massacre and the incredibly lucky twist of orbital mechanics that allowed Saturn to pull Jupiter away just in time.